Welcome to the Fast Fix channel. My name is Jason, and today we're not fixing anything. Instead, I'm going to show you how to build an 18 or 24 shot canister rack. I've gotten several questions about the racks that appear in the background in my videos, so today is the day that I show you how to build one of these yourself. Okay, let's get started. You'll need some fastening hardware. I use these number 8 deck screws, but honestly I'd go a little smaller, like number 6. I am going to pre-drill and countersink, so I've got this pre-drill and countersink bit. Then we'll use a few Milwaukee tools, impact driver, jig saw, screw gun. We'll use the miter saw, and we'll also use the table saw for this build, and a few other general items like a tape measure. You don't necessarily need all these tools, but they do help. For lumber, I scavenged this large baseboard, which will give enough material to cut in angles. Also, the weight of the board gives us a low center of gravity, which makes the rack very safe and minimizes the chance of tip overs. This board is measuring in at about 11 inches, but will only use about 9. It's also 1.5 inches thick, which will give us enough thickness to cut in the angles. For the face and sideboards, I'm using 1/2 inch ply. As far as tubes go, everyone has probably seen the world-class tubes that are used in Excalibur shells, amongst other shell kits from World Class. These are excellent HDPE tubes, and there's no sense in throwing them away. We will modify these with the Jig Saw and reuse them for our racks. Because I was short on tubes, I also sourced 50 HDPE tubes from a supplier at a very reasonable cost. I'll link that supplier in the description. These come plugged and ready to go. Pretty awesome. Let's modify the world-class tubes now. We do not want that base in our stand, so we need to cut it off. You'll want to support the tube, preferably on a jack or some other pole, as seen here. Use the jig saw and cut the base off, rotating the tube with your hand. This is very easy and the results are great. Not all tubes come in equal lengths, so we need to cut them down to a uniform length. Mortar tubes should be 3 times the length of the shell, so a 4-inch shell should be approximately 12 inches in length. That's roughly what I'm cutting mine down to, as seen here. Now is a good time to rip our baseboard down to size. We're going 8 tubes deep on this one, so I set up 8 tubes side by side to get my length. As you see, it's almost exactly 24 inches, but we'll add on some length to give ourselves some wiggle room. I decided on 2 feet, 3/4 inches. Just cutting the baseboards to length here. I intended on making 2 24-shot racks, but only had enough wood for a single 24-shot and an 18-shot rack. That's okay though, I will make it work. You will see me making the 18 and 24-shot rack in this video, so don't get confused. The process is exactly the same. Setting the table saw up to a width of 9 inches for the base. Now we can cut the base to our 9-inch desired width. As you can see, my table saw is on the old and small side, but I do make it work. Because of the 10-inch blade, we will have to do a bit of extra work, but you may not have to if you've got a larger diameter blade. I'll show you what I mean soon. On a side note, it was 102 degrees today, so it would be really cool if you all gave this video a like. You see what I did there? Now that the baseboards are cut, we can cut in the angles. Here's a base of a rack I built last year. See the angles? That's what we'll focus on now. Set your blade to a 15-degree angle. 15 degrees is a nice angle for canister shells. They fill the sky perfectly this way. Set the fence near the blade about a 1/2 inch away or so. Also remember, these don't have to be perfect and will be far from winning any beauty contests. As long as they're safe and function properly is all that matters. As far as blade height goes, this is where this saw falls short. Ideally, 3.5 inches would be perfect, but I've only got a 3-inch maximum. If you got a bigger blade, set it to 3.5 inches. Alright, let's get to cutting. Take the board and feed it in on its side. It's helpful to draw the hypothetical cut lines on the board so you don't mess up and cut the wrong way. Lumber is pricey these days, so minimize the chance of an error. Feed the board in slowly to avoid blade binding up. Nice burn marks. My miter saw clearly needs to be adjusted. Moving on, because I only had 3 inches max height on the table saw blade, I'll need to make some passes on the saw to remove additional wood. I'll show you what I mean in the next clip. Setting the blade to about 3/8 of an inch here to remove the additional wood. See what I mean now? Just make blade width passes until you get the desired cut. Basically, you'll need to give enough room for the mortar tubes to fit. I cut an additional 1/2 inch of material away to reach the desired 3.5 inch cut. I'll demonstrate that in the next clip. Like I said, making more blade width cuts to remove more wood. Here's the finished product. See how the mortar tube fits nicely? That's exactly what you want. Here's what the complete finished product will look like. Nice 15-degree angles on both sides with the plateau in the middle. You can bring the plateau down a bit if you want, which does help in fusing, but this height has worked for me. Now let's measure and cut the inside, top, and inside top pieces. The bottom piece will be 2 inches in width, the top piece will be 3 inches in width, and the inside top pieces will be 2 3/4 inches in width. The length of the side pieces obviously depend on the length of the base. Measure your base and use the length for the side top and inside top pieces. I'm working on the 18-shot rack in this clip, and it measured 18 3/4 inches in length. The 24-shot measured 2 feet 3/4 inches. Just cutting some side pieces in this clip. Set your fence accordingly and get to cutting. Chopping away here, setting length for the 2-inch side pieces. Do this for all side, top, and inside top pieces, making sure they're the same length. We'll cut the faceboards out now using the Jig Saw. The bottom measures 9 3/8, the top 14 1/2, and the sides 10 3/8. Again, not winning any beauty contests here. Take your time when using the Jig Saw. Slow and smooth is the way to go. If you're looking for a more clean cut, you can score the pencil lines with the razor blade. I'm not going for beauty, however, and am just using the finesse of the saw to keep the cuts decent. Once the faceboards are cut, we can start assembling the racks. Remember, I'm pre-drilling and countersinking the screws. I highly recommend doing this as well, as it will decrease the boards from splitting. Mark your drill points, aiming for the thicker parts of the baseboard, and get after it. Make sure the screws are tight when connecting the faceboard to the baseboard. The screws securing the side pieces will only be slightly tight to avoid splitting and stripping the screw holes. You want your strength in the baseboard connection. Same story when connecting the side pieces, except don't over tighten the screws. Only snug them up. I can't stress that enough. Otherwise, they'll strip out and or split the wood. It would help if I had a few clamps to hold these pieces in place, but gotta make do without. Setting the top pieces in now, same story as the bottom pieces, snug the screws only. Once the bottom and top side pieces are attached, install the mortar tubes. You need to do this now because the top inside pieces secure the tubes inside the rack. See what I mean? It's a tight fit, but it will fit. Attach the top inside pieces just as you attach the bottom and side pieces. Light pressure only. Here's a quick, high-speed view. Handles are an option, but I think are a good add-on because these racks are heavy. I'm attaching one on each side. I picked these up from Menards. And this is it, the final product. Again, not winning any beauty pageants, and one could certainly make arguments for more rigid construction, but this will totally work and work for years. I didn't nail and glue in order to easily replace pieces in case of failures from dropping or overall abuse. I think this is a pretty easy build and something you can do at home with the right tools. And hey, if this video helped you, please hit like as a small token of appreciation. Here's actual footage of the racks in use. Thanks, and happy 4th of July.